Captain Park Ji-ho pressed his face against the cold glass of the observation window. Far below, Earth looked smaller than he remembered. But above him, something impossible was taking shape in the darkness of space. The alien ship was not like anything humans had ever built. It did not have metal walls or rocket engines. Instead, it seemed to be made of pure light itself. Golden beams stretched out like fingers, weaving together to form a city that floated in the void. The light was so bright that Ji-ho had to squint, but he could not look away. Beautiful, is it not? Ji-ho turned to see Dr. Kim Mingi walking toward him. She was the smartest person he knew, the one chosen to study these strange visitors. But even she looked confused as she stared at the growing structure. How is it possible? Ji-ho asked. How can light become solid? Mingi shook her head. I do not know. Their science is far beyond ours. They say they have been building these cities for thousands of years, all across the galaxy. 3 months ago, the ships had appeared without warning, not with fire and weapons, like in the old movies, but with messages of peace. The beings who came out of the ships called themselves the Aetheris Collective. They looked almost human, but their skin glowed with a soft inner light, and their eyes held depths like looking into stars. Their leader, Ambassador Veltar, had spoken to the world through every television and computer screen on Earth. His voice was warm and kind, like a teacher explaining something simple to a child. People of Earth, he had said, we come to offer you a gift. For too long, your species has struggled in darkness. You fight wars over resources that are endless in the galaxy. You suffer from diseases we solved long ago. You are trapped on one small world when infinite possibilities await among the stars. The offer seemed too good to be true. The Aetheris would share their technology with humanity. No more hunger. No more sickness. No more death from old age. All they asked in return was that Earth join their collective. Adding human knowledge and creativity to their great civilization. Look at what we have built, Veltar had said, gesturing to images of their empire. Entire star systems had been transformed into works of art. Planets wrapped in rings of pure energy. Suns themselves reshaped to burn with rainbow colors. Cities that stretched across the void between worlds, connected by bridges of solidified starlight. Already, 12 countries had signed agreements to begin what the Aetheris called integration. Volunteers were lining up at the new integration centers in major cities around the world. They went in as ordinary humans and came out changed. Their eyes holding the same star-like depth as their alien teachers. Lieutenant Lee Sungmin approached. With his daily report, sir, the numbers are increasing. Yesterday alone, 5,000 people entered the integration centers. The aliens say the process is completely safe, but ... But what? Ji-ho asked. The people who come out, they are different. Not bad, different, just ... changed. They all seem so calm, so sure about everything, and they all want the same things now. Ji-ho nodded. He had noticed it too. Dr. Young Tai-ho had been one of the first Korean scientists to volunteer for integration. Before, he had been passionate and argumentative, always questioning everything. Now he spoke in careful, measured words about the greater good and unified purpose. Captain Minji said quietly, I have been studying their technology in secret. There is something they do not want us to know. She led him to a small laboratory deep inside the space station. The room was kept completely dark except for a single, small light bulb. On the table sat a piece of Aetheris technology, a small crystal that normally glowed with soft blue light. Watch, Minji said, and turned off the light bulb. In the absolute darkness, the crystal went completely dead. No glow, no energy readings, nothing. Bare. Technology needs light to work, she whispered. Constant, strong light. In true darkness, it fails completely. Ji-ho stared at the dead crystal. They have never mentioned this weakness. Because it is not just a weakness in their machines, Minji said. I think it is a weakness in them too. Have you noticed? They never go into dark places. All their meetings happen in bright rooms. All their ships glow like miniature suns. Outside the laboratory, the alien light city continued to grow. More ships arrived each day, bringing materials and workers from across the galaxy. Soon, they said the city would be large enough to house 1 million humans who chose to join the collective. But as Jiho watched the beautiful, impossible structure take shape, a cold fear settled in his stomach. What if this gift was not as wonderful as it seemed? What if the price of joining the stars was losing what made humanity human? He activated his secure communication device and sent a coded message to Major Choi In-hai in Seoul. Just 3 words. But she would understand. We need answers. The die was cast. Earth stood at a crossroads between the light of the aliens' promise and the unknown darkness of resistance. Soon, humanity would have to choose which path to take. Dr. Yang Tai-ho walked out of the Integration Center in New Tokyo with a smile that never seemed to leave his face. His colleague Dr. Song Yuna waited for him by the entrance, studying his expression carefully. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Perfect," Tai-ho replied, his voice strangely calm. "I understand now, Yuna. All the years we wasted fighting each other, competing instead of cooperating. The Etherists have shown me a better way," Yuna frowned. Before integration, Tai-ho had been her closest friend. Passionate about his research and quick to argue about scientific methods. Now he spoke like he was reading from a script, his words careful and measured. "What did they do to you in there?" she asked. "They opened my mind," he said. "Should try it, Yuna. The process is wonderful. You feel all your anger and fear just melt away. Everything becomes so clear." Across the city, Major Choi In-hai sat in a secret meeting room deep underground. The walls were thick concrete, designed to block any signals from getting in or out. Around the table sat 12 people from different countries, all united by the same growing fear. "We have a problem," said Kim Hanbin, her best intelligence officer. He spread photos across the table, managed to hack into one of their databases. "Look at these records." The photos showed different alien worlds before and after joining the collective. The before images were full of variety, strange buildings, colorful art, creatures that looked nothing like each other. The after images all looked the same: clean white buildings, orderly streets, people who moved and dressed identically. "Is the planet Zephyr," Hanbin explained, pointing to one set of photos. They were master builders before integration. "Look at these amazing structures they created." The first photo showed towers that twisted like living plants, bridges that seemed to dance across valleys. "And this is Zephyr now." The second photo showed a world of identical white buildings, all perfectly square and evenly spaced. Every building follows the same Etherist design. No creativity, no individual style. Captain Park Jiho leaned forward. "What happened to their culture?" "Gone," Hanbin said grimly. "Same thing happened to 46 other worlds. The Kalani were famous for their music, now they only play collective-approved songs. The Nexari were explorers who loved discovering new things. Now they only go where the collective sends them." Major Choi felt sick. They're not integrating. Civilizations? They are erasing them. Meanwhile, Dr. Kim Minji was making her own disturbing discovery. She had been secretly studying blood samples from integration volunteers, comparing them to samples taken before the process. "The changes are subtle, but real," she explained to Captain Park during their secret meeting. "The integration process alters brain chemistry. It increases chemicals that make people feel calm and agreeable, while reducing the ones that drive curiosity and independent thinking." "How long before the changes become permanent?" Park asked. 6 months, maybe less. And that is only if they stop the process now, but stopping seemed impossible. Every day, more countries signed agreements with the Etherists. President Han Guan of Korea had been one of the first leaders to agree, convinced, by demonstrations of alien medical technology that could cure cancer and repair damaged organs. "Think of what this means for our people," the president had said during his televised announcement. "No more disease, no more death from old age. Our children will live to see the stars." The integration centers were expanding rapidly. What had started as small buildings in 12 cities now covered entire city blocks. Thousands of people entered each day, and all of them came out changed. Dr. Song Yuna decided to investigate for herself. She followed a group of volunteers into the Seoul Integration Center. Staying far enough back to avoid being noticed inside, the building was filled with soft, warm light that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The volunteers were led into comfortable rooms where Aetherist technicians attached strange devices to their heads. The devices glowed brighter and brighter until the humans' faces took on the same peaceful expression that Tai-Ho now wore. But Yuna noticed something else. In one corner of the building, she saw a room that was kept completely dark. Through the slightly open door, she glimpsed Aetherist workers who looked different from the others. These aliens seemed tired, their usual glow much dimmer. They moved slowly, as if the darkness was making them weak. She quickly left the building and called Major Choi. "I think I know how to fight them," she said. That night, Major Choi activated a plan she had been preparing in secret for months. Using secure channels, she sent coded messages to military leaders around the world. The message was simple. Umbral Protocol is now active. In hidden facilities on every continent, teams of scientists began working on humanity's secret weapon. If the Aetherists needed light to survive and function, then darkness would be humanity's answer. "We have 6 months before integration becomes irreversible for the volunteers," Major Choi told her team. 6 months to save our species from losing everything that makes us human. The race against time had begun. Soon, Earth would discover whether human ingenuity could overcome alien perfection. Dr. Park Soman stood in the abandoned factory, deep in the Korean mountains, her heart racing as she watched the machine she had built come to life. The device was ugly compared to the beautiful Aetherist technology, just metal and wires held together with human engineering. But when she pressed the activation button, something amazing happened. A sphere of absolute darkness appeared in the center of the room, not just the absence of light, but something deeper. It was as if the darkness was alive, eating up every bit of energy that came near it. "Test the alien samples," she told her assistant, G-Seok. G-Seok held up a small Aetheris crystal that normally glowed with blue light. The moment he stepped into the dark field, the crystal went completely dead. He tried several other pieces of alien technology. All of them stopped working instantly. "Electromagnetic interference at 97%, G-Seok reported, his voice excited. "Every piece of their technology is completely useless inside the field." Captain Park Ji-ho, who had been watching from the doorway, smiled for the first time in months. Finally, something that can hurt them. The resistance had grown quickly, once people realized what integration really meant. In Seoul, Professor Nam Soo-jin coordinated the scientific teams, while her husband, General Nam Kuman, handled the military planning. Similar groups had formed in every major city, connected by quantum communication systems that the Aetherists could not detect or block. The aliens had no idea what was coming. Ambassador Veltar had grown confident over the past months. More than half of Earth's population had now undergone integration, and resistance was becoming harder to organize as more people joined the collective mindset. "The final harvest will begin tomorrow," he announced to his fleet commanders. "We will collect the remaining unintegrated humans for processing. Those who resist will be modified for compliance." Massive collection ships descended from the orbital light cities, their hulls gleaming like captured stars. Each ship carried technology that could lift thousands of humans at once, transporting them to processing facilities where integration would no longer be voluntary. But the resistance was ready. "All teams, this is Shadow Base." Major Choi In-hai spoke into her communication device from the underground command center. "Operation Umbral Dawn begins now." Across the globe, hidden shadow generators activated simultaneously. In Seoul, Sergeant Lim Young-ho watched from his concealed position as darkness suddenly bloomed around the integration center. The Aetherist collection ship hovering above the building immediately began to wobble as its systems failed. "Target is down," Young-ho reported with satisfaction. "The ship is crashing into the Han River." Similar scenes played out in every major city. London, Paris, New York, Tokyo. Everywhere the aliens had positioned their collection ships. Humanity's shadow weapons struck. Ships that had seemed invincible, moments before now, tumbled from the sky like broken toys. The psychological impact was enormous. For months, The Aetherists had seemed like gods, their technology so advanced that resistance seemed hopeless. Now, ordinary humans with crude machines were bringing down their mighty vessels in the underground bunkers where unintegrated humans had been hiding. People cheered as they watched the news broadcasts. The aliens could be beaten, but the victory came at a cost. The integrated humans, their minds now linked to the collective, felt the defeat as physical pain. Dr. Yang Taiho, once Dr. Song Yuna's closest friend, stood in the ruins of the Soul Integration Center with tears streaming down his face. "Why do you hurt us?" he asked Yuna when she found him there. "We only wanted to help you become better, 'cause you tried to erase who we are," Yuna replied sadly. "You wanted to make us all the same." Taiho looked confused, as if he could not understand why anyone would want to be different from the perfect unity of the collective. Ambassador Veltar's response was swift and brutal. From his flagship, he sent a message to every screen on Earth. His usually calm face was now filled with cold anger. "Humans of Earth," he said, "you have chosen violence over enlightenment. Your resistance has forced us to abandon our preferred methods of peaceful integration. We will now proceed with forced processing of your entire species." The orbital light cities began to glow brighter, drawing energy from nearby stars. New weapons appeared on their surfaces, devices designed to blanket entire continents. With energy beams that would make integration possible from orbit, we gave you the chance to join. Willingly, Veltar continued. Now you will join by force. Those who continue to resist will be modified for complete compliance. Your individual thoughts and desires will be removed for the good of the collective. In her underground command center, Major Choi listened to the ultimatum with grim determination. The first battle had been won, but the war was just beginning. "All units, prepare for total warfare," she commanded. "Dr. Park, how long until the planet-scale generator is ready?" 72 hours, came the reply. "Then we hold them off for 72 hours, Choi said. "Whatever it takes." Outside, the sky began to fill with more alien ships as the Aetherists brought their full might to bear against the stubborn little world that dared to resist their perfect vision of unity. The real fight for humanity's soul was about to begin. "Dr. Park." Summon's hands shook as she stared at the equations covering every wall of the underground laboratory. For 3 days, she had not slept. Surviving on coffee and determination while Aetherists ships rained destruction on the surface above. "I think I have it," she whispered to her exhausted team. "We can do more than just block their light. We can steal it." Ojisiok looked up from his computer, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "What do you mean?" "Your technology works by capturing energy from stars," Solman explained, pointing to her calculations. "But what if we could reverse the process? What if we could drain the energy from their constructs and use it ourselves?" The idea was dangerous and completely untested. The dark star generator would be 1,000 times more powerful than the small shadow weapons they had used before. If it worked, it could cripple the entire Aetherist fleet. If it failed, the backlash might destroy half the planet. Above ground, the war was not going well for humanity. Colonel Esiomenia Kledwat remained of Earth's space forces in desperate attacks against the alien orbital cities. His fighters had been modified with shadow field generators, but they were still no match for the advanced Aetherist technology. "Red Squadron, follow me in." Minyuk's voice crackled over the radio as he dove toward the largest light city behind. Him flew Lieutenant Kong Hunjin, Flight Commander Yoon Jie, Major Chen Woo-young, some of the best pilots Earth had ever produced. The space battle was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Their dark-wrapped ships moved like shadows through the void, while the alien vessels blazed like miniature suns. When the two technologies met, reality itself seemed to bend and twist. "Direct hit on their power core," reported Yoon Jie as her shadow torpedo struck an Aetherist cruiser. The alien ship flickered like a dying light bulb before going completely dark. But for every alien ship they destroyed, 2 more took its place. The Aetherists were bringing their full military might to bear against Earth, ships that had conquered dozens of worlds across the galaxy. On the surface, Lieutenant General Park Jin-young coordinated the final construction of the Dark Star generator. The device had to be built in complete secrecy, deep beneath Mount Hala. While alien bombardment turned cities to ruins above. "Ma'am," her aide reported, "the aliens are preparing something big. Intelligence says they call it the Purification." Array Park Jin-young felt cold fear in her stomach. She had seen the reports from other worlds the Aetheres had conquered. The Purification Array was their ultimate weapon, a device that could sterilize an entire planet's surface, killing every living thing while leaving the world intact for rebuilding. "How long until they can activate it?" she asked. 6 hours? Maybe less?" The Dark Star generator was not ready. It needed at least 12 more hours of preparation, but 12 hours was time they did not have. In the orbital command ship, Ambassador Veltar stood before a massive holographic display showing Earth. Red markers indicated the locations of human resistance bases, while blue markers showed the positions of his fleet. "The primitives have proven more resourceful than expected," he admitted to his fleet commanders. "But their resistance ends now. Activate the Purification Array." The weapon began to charge, drawing power from 3 nearby stars. Soon beams of concentrated stellar energy would sweep across Earth's surface, killing every unintegrated human while leaving the converted ones alive to serve the collective, deep underground. Dr. Park Soman made a desperate decision. "We cannot wait any longer," she told General Park Jin-young. "The generator is only at 60% completion, but it might be enough." "What are the risks?" the general asked. "Complete planetary destruction," Salman replied honestly. "The energy feedback could crack the Earth's crust. But if we do nothing, humanity dies anyway." Major Choi in his voice came over the communication system from the main command bunker. "All resistance leaders, this is it. Everything we have fought for comes down to the next few minutes. Dr. Park, you have authorization to activate the generator." Summon's finger hovered over the activation switch. Around her, the buried facility hummed with barely contained energy. On the surface, millions of people, both integrated and free, waited unknowingly for the outcome of this moment. "For humanity," she whispered, and pressed the button. The effect was immediate and terrifying. Every piece of Aetheris technology within 1,000 kilometers suddenly went dark as the Dark Star generator began draining their energy. The stolen power flowed back to Earth, creating massive electromagnetic storms that lit up the sky like aurora in space. Colonel Seo Minyuk watched in amazement as the alien light cities began to flicker and fade. "All units, they are losing power," he shouted into his radio. "Press the attack." But the most dramatic effect was on the Purification Array itself. As the Dark Star generator drained its energy, the massive weapon began to overload. Warning lights flashed on Ambassador Veltar's command ship as his technicians struggled to shut down the failing system. "Power cascade failure," one of them reported in panic. "The array is going to explode." The explosion lit up half the solar system as the Purification Array tore itself apart, taking most of the Aetheris fleet with it. For the first time since the war began, Earth's sky was dark. Admiral Cho Sun-hee stood on the bridge of the ESS Seoul, watching as the alien fortress in the distance slowly went dark. 2 years had passed since the Battle of Earth, and now humanity sailed between the stars in ships that could command both light and shadow. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Bae Young-sik, "the Aetheris garrison is surrendering. They request safe passage to leave the system." Cho nodded. The fortress had once been a jewel of the Aetheris Empire, a massive structure that housed millions of enslaved beings from dozens of different worlds. Now its lights were failing one by one as the aliens abandoned their conquest. "Let them go," she decided. "Send a message to their fleet. Tell them that any attempt to return will be met with force." The war had changed everything. Earth's victory had sent shockwaves across the galaxy as news spread that the mighty Aetheris collective could be defeated. World after world had risen in rebellion, using shadow technology that human agents secretly delivered to resistance groups. Dr. Kim Mingi walked onto the bridge, carrying a tablet full of reports. She was older now, her hair streaked with gray, but her eyes still held the Same curiosity that had first spotted the Aetheris weakness. The liberation of Kepler 442 is proceeding smoothly, she reported. The local population has voted to dismantle the integration centers and rebuild their original cities. Any problems with the freed populations? Cho asked. Some Minji admitted. The integration process leaves psychological scars. Many of the liberated beings have forgotten their own cultures. We are helping them remember, but it will take time. On planets across the galaxy, human specialists worked with former Aetheris subjects to help them recover their lost identities. It was slow work. Generations of integration had buried original languages, customs, and ways of thinking under layers of collective programming, but progress was being made. On Centauri Prime, the freed aliens had torn down the perfect white buildings and were experimenting with new architectural styles that mixed their ancient traditions with modern innovations. The Zephyrians were learning to build their twisted, plant-like towers again. The Kalani were creating music that no longer followed collective harmonies. Back on Earth, President Lim Jaein addressed a very different world than the one that had first met the Aetheris. The war had united humanity in ways that centuries of conflict had never achieved. Former enemies now worked together to help liberate enslaved worlds and protect the growing alliance of free species. Today marks the second anniversary of our victory, the president said to the cameras, but we do not celebrate conquest. We celebrate liberation, not just our own, but that of countless beings across the galaxy who have been freed from forced unity. The integration centers on Earth had been converted into hospitals where former volunteers slowly recovered their original personalities. Dr. Yang Taiho was among the first to be successfully treated, though he would never be quite the same as before his integration. I remember arguing with you about everything, he said to Dr. Song Yuna during one of his therapy sessions. It seems strange now, but I miss that. I miss having my own opinions. You will again, Yuna assured him. It just takes time. Admiral Park Ji-ho, now commanding the entire Eclipse fleet, received a priority message while reviewing reports in his quarters aboard the flagship. Lieutenant Commander Hong Soyen brought him the intelligence briefing he had been waiting for. The last confirmed Aetheris military force has withdrawn beyond the galactic rim, she reported. Long-range sensors show no signs of them attempting to return. Park leaned back in his chair, thinking about how much had changed since that day. He first watched their light city being built in Earth's orbit. Humanity had not just survived their first contact with an alien civilization. They had become the leaders of a new kind of galactic community. What about the integration research? He asked. Dr. Park Summon's team has made a breakthrough, Hong replied. They believe they can completely reverse the integration process within the next year. Every being the Aetheris change can potentially be restored to their original state. The news filled Park with hope. The galaxy was learning that cooperation did not require uniformity. That different species could work together while maintaining their unique identities. On the outer rim of former Aetheris space, powered down permanently. The massive structure had once housed millions of integrated beings, all working in perfect harmony toward the collective's goals. It was empty, except for automated systems slowly shutting themselves down. Ambassador Veltar, aboard one of the few remaining Aetheris ships, watched his empire's greatest achievement go dark. For thousands of years, the collective had believed that unity meant sameness. That peace required the elimination of all differences. Perhaps, he said to his aide, we were wrong about the nature of civilization. Behind them, the darkness of empty space swallowed the dead light city. But ahead, stars still shone with their own natural light, different colors, different sizes, different ages, all beautiful in their own unique ways. The galaxy had learned to appreciate differences again. Humanity had shown that sometimes the greatest strength came not from perfect unity, but from the courage to remain diverse in the face of those who would make everyone the same. The age of forced light was over. The age of chosen balance had begun.